This is Conrad Thompson with Wooooo Nation right here on Play.it. And baseball's in full swing, and you can be a part of all the action all season long at DraftKings.com, the official daily fantasy partner of Major League Baseball.
There is only one Ric Flair, 16-time world champion, but don't get down. Don't despair. You can win cash every single day at DraftKings.
No season-long commitments, win huge prizes every day. Peter from Colorado won $1 million in just one day. Are you kidding me? Hey, Pete, when you come to Atlanta, drinks are on you, pal.
Woo! New contests start daily, so hurry to DraftKings.com right now and use promo code FLAIR to play for free in today's $10,000 fantasy baseball contest. DraftKings.com, official partner of Major League Baseball. Enter Flair for free entry now at DraftKings.com. 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 Woo!
A man who wears the 10 pounds of gold, the nature boy, Ric Flair.
You know, I always like to take this opportunity to talk about myself.
Woo! The 16-time heavyweight champion has arrived.
I've got the style and profile like never before.
The greatest talker in the history of the business is behind the mic once again.
You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limousine like, jet flying, son of a gun. Woo!
This is Wooooo Nation with Ric Flair.
I'm the man. Ric Flair. Hey, this is the Nature Boy. Woo! Ric Flair with my co-host, Conrad Thompson. And today, we are with the legendary, and for many reasons, Kevin Sullivan, but actually the guy that was able to control the insanity at WCW.
Come on.
While he walked around and huffed and puffed, handling 5 camps, meaning Nash, Hall, and Waltman, right?
Right.
Sting, Luger, Flair, and Arn, who were like just going whatever you want, Kevin, right?
Third person.
Right.
And then Sting and Luger. So there we go. Yeah, third person, yeah. So anyway, Kevin Sullivan. I saw Kevin collapse in Toronto one night. He just was overwhelmed. He just said, Jesus Christ, I can't do this. We had to hurt pump on him. I was almost going to give him mouth to mouth.
Yeah.
Remember that? What a job you had.
Cured me.
You had the most insane job in the world. Oh, my God. I mean, the committee was me, Kevin, Greg Gagne. I mean, think about this. Who the hell would put Bill Dundee in a committee, right? So, yeah. Bill Dundee and
Dundee was on the committee?
Bill Dundee had a voice.
In WCW, Bill Dundee was a committee member.
Yeah, Kevin and I used to walk downstairs. What was the name of that bar? The brother guys that was there in CNN
Jock
Center,
and
right?
Jill's. Jock and Jill's.
Jock and Jill's, and go, what in the hell are we dealing with? Greg Gagne, who I love to death,
sure,
out of his mind, trying to do his own deal behind our back of everybody, right? And Bill Dundee, you know, who knows? He just, I couldn't figure it out. Me and Kevin would go down there. We would drink till fucking 1 o'clock in the morning or wherever we ended up, back in the Marriott, get up in the morning, go work out, and start it again. And yeah. Kevin was like, and I want to give you this too, Kevin. Kevin Sullivan was a genius.
Oh, no, I agree.
No.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you,
Kevin, I'm saying this out loud. We have the #1 podcast in wrestling today, so...
Hashtag humble brag.
Yeah, no, Kevin Sullivan was a genius, but you can only play it out so long. I mean, being a genius and putting together a formula that works, and then having to deal with the personalities, I mean, it was exhausting because Bischoff kept putting more and more shit. And because
And Kevin was a wrestling person, so there's a lot of non-wrestling people in WCW.
Kevin
is Mr. Wrestling Person.
He was a wrestling person, but he liked to wrestle. But Kevin, at the end of the day, absorbed and acknowledged. I mean, Eddie Graham. I mean, he was a finished guy, and he understood promotion. He understood how to get guys over to the next level. But at the same time, nobody knows how to handle 5 different camps. And that's what Bischoff did. The Bischoff was like, divide and conquer.
Yeah.
Okay, Kevin, it's your job to handle it. I'll be in here doing what I'm doing, but you make it work, right? And I used to look at Kevin and go, what the hell? I mean, you realize that in 1974, on Frivolous in Charlotte, me, Kevin, Jan, and my kids, David and Megan, were on the beach in Myrtle Beach. Right, Kevin?
Yep, that's it, Rick.
Yeah, I mean, that's where we started. That's how long me and Joe...
you guys' relationship goes back to 74?
Yeah.
74 or 5, yeah.
You'll like this, Conrad. You want to hear a funny story?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
1973, I go upstairs in the office because Eddie and Mike had a falling out, so I used to go fishing with Eddie. I was like the surrogate son trying to patch this up between them. And as I go upstairs, there's Dusty, and God bless his soul, Dusty says to me, "Hey, I want to show you a guy that's coming in. He's my brother, Rick Rhodes. Here's a picture of a guy with a crew cut, weighed about 320.
Ricky Rhodes,
Yeah, you were coming in as Dusty's brother. I remember that. But what Rick was saying about how Bischoff cut everybody's legs off, what I look back now and I say everybody should have been happy. We were beating Vince. They were making a lot of money, but he stirred the pot that everybody wanted to be on top, and he would tell them, "Oh yeah, you're going to be on top," and then I'd have to handle the thing. But I had the best talent in the world, the Four Horsemen, and everybody else, Nash and Hall. The invasion angle can never work again because they were the originators of it. Sting and Luger, it was just the personalities. Got to be with Eric. It got to be such a hard job. It really did.
No, Kevin. I tell everybody. I said, first of all, I'm going to call you Shorty.
Yeah.
And by the way, Arn told me last night that don't ever call him Fatso again.
Okay.
So you're saying that Kevin called Arn Fatso?
Yeah, all the time. Hey, Fatso, what are you doing? We drank a lot to survive that deal, right?
Yeah.
And Arn would go, "Hey, listen to your crustration from a little fucking shellfish." It was the best joust in the world, except for him and Luger when Arn told Luger that he could make 4 pearl hat revolvers out of his teeth for General Patton.
What I love one time, Arn pulled out a body brush and passed it to Luger and said, "Here, you dropped your toothbrush." That was the funniest.
Well, Kevin, we saw it all, man. God,
Yeah.
What the hell? But I mean, anyway, the point I'm making is that Kevin Sullivan will always be known as a genius.
Sure.
But once again, it was like they thought I was booking the territory when we were at the committee. Are you kidding me? We just sat there and wrote shit down and went downstairs and ate at that Chinese joint that had a 55 rating for health, right? And Kevin ate all the kimchi in the place. went back upstairs for 4 hours, went into the Jocks and Jills, and got hammered, and drove home. I'm not sure how.
Yeah.
And then got up in the morning and went to the gym and started again. Bischoff was, it was insane. You guys figured out, right? I would go, I hate Aaron for this. We're sitting there, me and Kevin, right? So, what's the deal about it was like, okay, here's the deal. Hogan had already beat me, and
Many times.
yeah, but he beat me in Orlando, first time in, right? And then, right? So then we go to Iowa City, and Kevin's the booker, right? And Arn came up with the deal with the Tanya Harding deal, right? Remember that, Kevin?
Yes, I do.
Where Kevin we whack Hulk in the leg, right?
Sure.
Well, Hulk still wouldn't lose, right? So we ended up doing something stupid. Now we go to Halloween Havoc, and we got Muhammad Ali and everybody there, right?
That was awesome.
And it's me and Hogan and Sherry Martel.
Mr. T was there too, right?
Yeah, but Kevin goes to Sherry Martel. He goes, "Hey, Sherry, do you mind cutting that little dress off so we can pull it off while you climb over the cage, right?" But the point was that Kevin, while we were in the cage, he had the title. I mean, it wasn't like the blow off in the old days.
Sure.
The bad guy had the title. He's going to get it in the cage, right?
This is the good guy.
He'd already beat me 3 times. So then they go to me. Kevin goes, "Well, they want you to retire after the match." I said, "Yeah, no problem." And so, Kevin knows.
No, hang on.
Uh-huh.
We got to talk about that. When he says they want you to retire, and you say no problem, you mean that means a wrestling retirement?
No, they called me and told Kevin, ticket sales were not doing good for Halloween Havoc. Why? No shit. Why? They already beat me twice, right? So,
Is this 94?
Will you put your career on the line and retire? I said, hell yeah. I said, tell Bill Shaw to pay me. So me and Shorty are sitting there. Bill Shaw showed up and gave me a contract, and then they retired me. And 2 weeks later, Kevin said, "Hey, man, we need you in somewhere because what's his name? Vader would not put Hogan over, remember?"
Yeah.
And Rude would neither. Hogan called Rude the Tasmanian Devil. Remember that? I mean, it was terrible. I was their job guy. And Kevin goes, "Rick, do you care?"
Wait. You're saying that Rick Rude and Vader would not put over Hogan?
They wouldn't. No, Hogan wouldn't work with them. Hogan would not work with them.
Why is that?
Let me tell you something. Well, I'll give me an example. Here's me and Kevin. I'm going to go back to it. Kevin probably won't remember this. Me and Kevin are in Las Vegas, right? It's Bobby Eaton, who was one of the
greatest
promoter workers in our business, right?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Against the Honky Tonk Man. The Honky Tonk Man's making $250 a year. And so they tell Honky Tonk Man that Bobby Eaton's going over. He couldn't walk away. Do you remember that, Kevin?
Yep.
I mean, every day was a deal, man. The Honky Tonk Man. He can't play guitar and he can't work. What the hell? Honky, I hope you hear this.
How about this? Honky's a big-time shit talker, and you're calling him out right now.
He was going to call me out on the fact he can't work or play the guitar?
Okay.
Kevin knows it, too. I mean, but that's the kind of crap that we dealt with back then. I mean, we go. They tell me and Kevin, right, or Kevin or whatever. I can't remember whoever was fake in charge then to have Bobby beat him, right? It was a TV title, and Honky says no, and it was the same kind of thing with Johnny B. Bad. Remember that kid? I mean,
yeah.
Mark Merrow, another guy. I know everybody loves Mark Merrow for all his religion now and all that. I get it, but Mark Merrow, he couldn't work. The only thing he had going for him was the fact he looked like Little Richard with a better body.
Yeah.
Okay, Kevin, let's go ahead and follow up on the question about, well, we're off to a great start. Let's go ahead and follow up, Kevin, about the story about you maybe persuading Vader or Rick Rude to put over Hogan. Was that something you had to deal with as a booker?
We all did.
Rude never actually worked with Hogan.
Rude never did in his whole career. Never.
Yeah. And to get Vader to do it, I gave him the line, and Vader was really hot at the time, and we had been at the one with Pamela Anderson, Baywatch.
Baywatch, you and I. When my gym blew away, you asshole.
Yeah,
Jesus, you were laughing about that shit.
We even got the Vader and Hogan on that show, which was watched, and Rick was on it and Randy was on it. But the thing was, it was a crossover, and we're building this match, and Hulk came to me and said, "How am I going over?" And I had to go tell Vader, because Hulk had creative control. I had to say, "Hey, if Rick can do it, you can do it. Let's come up with something creative." And the creative finish was hit the ropes and drop the leg, 1, 2, 3. It was like Rick said, it was very, very difficult. You had so many camps and so many guys going to Eric and getting what they wanted.
Yeah.
But Rick, it was a great run for WCW, and I find it funny because you're now, the way WWE, and this is no disrespect to WWE, there is a huge angle out there with you that they don't even see, that would get their network up and running. It isn't being a mind reader or a genius. You still draw money, and they can't figure out how to get their TV, their own network up. And I understand why, maybe because they have all these hours of TV to do. But I think sometimes, as we know, you learn from Wahoo, you learn from Johnny Valentine, Rick, you learn from Jack Briscoe, you learn from Harley, you learn from guys that knew the business. There's a few things they could do with you to blow their own company up, but nobody's thinking because they got to do 13 hours of TV, and that's no disrespect to them. And they're saying, well, none of these guys are getting over. Well, they're not doing anything to say, holy shit, did you see that this week? And get people talking about it. We'll go back to when Sting was coming down from the roof as the Crow. People were talking about it. They were talking about, the 4 horsemen fighting off the NWO. You got to have a central point to look at, but you have to still have a Babe Ruth that people come out and say, oh, yeah, he's got a few more games left in him. And I think I've watched their TV, and I'm not knocking them, but they haven't used you in the right position at this time.
Thank you very much. I told Vince that last night. I said, don't tell me to pass a physical and not use me.
Kevin, as somebody who knows how to book wrestling, what would you do with Rick on today's product?
Well, here's the thing. I will tell you when I see you, Conrad, because the last time I gave something away, I told them how to make Hogan the champion on the last run. The angle the next night with Undertaker and the motorcycle, I told Vince that they're going to boo. Vince and I were talking there for a while, almost every day. I told Vince, we got in an argument over the phone. I said, this is the worst decision you ever made, to put your baby face, The Rock, in the strongest town that Hogan's ever been in is Toronto. I said, they're going to boo him out of the building. Never happened.
They did.
He said, it never happened. You got a wrestler mentality. I said, okay. And they booed him out of the building. I'll tell you, Conrad, when I see you, and you're going to say absolutely right.
No, they booed Rock out of the building. You're right.
Yeah.
You know why? You know why that was, too? Because you and I were watching there. This is how smart Hulk is, right? When the Warrior beat Hulk
in 90,
Hulk walked over and shook his hand.
That was awesome.
Right.
Hulk smart.
Put him over.
Yep, put him over.
Yeah.
And by the way, whatever gas he gave by losing the title,
Picked it all back up.
That Warrior was a forgiven figure, man. A forgotten figure. Yeah. So Kevin, Conrad's going to give you a plug on your whatever you got going on right now, and mainly because you're rich and famous, have a beautiful wife. You know, I can't figure out how you got married again, but you are, and she's beautiful. But the most famous thing I've ever told about you is what?
Sabatinos, come on!
The candle.
The guy has...
Yes!
Kevin Sullivan has more foreskin than he has penis.
That's not what I expected to hear, but okay, let's go.
No, he has got... He's like... You look at him in the shower and you go, God, that thing is long, but half of it's skin. So we're drinking Sabatinos.
Oh my God.
And Gary Jester
In Baltimore.
And Gary Jester's wife was there. And I go, Shorty.
It's your birthday, right?
I go, it's my birthday. No, it wasn't my birthday. No, that was another night.
No, but it's Gary Jester's wife's birthday.
Yeah. My birthday was another time. Let's talk about that. That's another occasion. But Sabatinos was me and Kevin's favorite place. So Kevin went to the bathroom and put a blowout candle, a candle that wouldn't blow out, in the head of his penis and walked out.
Well, why wouldn't he? That's where they belong.
And goes, happy birthday. Her name was Penny, right? Happy birthday, Penny, to you. And brought her a cake, and Kevin walked out with that thing. And I go, Penny, you got to blow it out. And she tried to blow it off in 30 minutes. It wouldn't go on. Are you kidding me? Oh, my God. It was awesome. Well, a week later, he was divorced, but that's the business. She had her glasses on. She looked like a librarian. I go, Shorty, that was the greatest thing you ever did in your life. It's legendary.
Rick, are you still working for them full time?
WWE?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there last night.
Okay, good. Is Piper with you too?
No, but Roddy has got himself somehow, as you can understand, through social media ixnayed.
He doesn't even have a Legends contract, is that right?
They yanked it on him. They yanked Roddy's Legend contract. Yeah, because he did something he cracked on Steve Austin for something. I don't know. I mean, I can't keep up with it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say something I'm not clear on.
Right.
Yeah.
But as far as I know is that Roddy did something with Steve, and Steve is still the man that makes has a lot of influence, and I don't know, he brought up something that Steve had done in the past, and Steve didn't like it, and they yanked his Legends contract. So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But Roddy, I'm very close to Roddy. Talk together all the time, but he's still, as you know, Rod. I mean, even when Roddy came and Kevin was booking, right? Roddy's got his own agenda, man. I conceded that I was whatever age I was. Roddy wanted to be 30 years old, right? And
Nothing wrong with that.
No, I get that, but I knew that it wasn't going to work there because I already played the card. Roddy walked in playing the card, and Kevin said, I don't think that's going to work tonight.
I watched last night. Of course, we're taping this on Tuesday. The episode's going to air later tonight or sometime tomorrow. But, Kevin, just last night they aired a Dusty Rhodes special where the Legends talked about Dusty Rhodes, and they had Michael Hayes and J.J. Dillon and Arn Anderson, and, of course, our host, Ric Flair. And I know that you were one of, Dusty's nemesis or
Right.
nemesis or whatever that
But best
word
friends,
is.
too. Best
Yeah,
friends.
exactly. In Florida. And back then, and Rick, you remember this, Kevin was like the devil himself. And that's even the way you addressed him a few weeks ago when you and I first called him and approached him about appearing on the podcast. He really had his own deal going down there. He was the number one heel in Florida. And then Dusty was kind of battling with him. So I feel like you should have been involved in that podcast for whatever reason you weren't, Kevin. Tell us some of your favorite Dusty stories or what that was like when you were working in Florida Championship Wrestling.
Before you tell that story, I've got to tell you the greatest, aside from the foreskin story, the greatest Kevin Sullivan story of all time, right? So there was a gym on Fowler Avenue in Tampa. What was that guy's name that owned that gym?
Rick Poston.
Huh?
Rick Poston.
Rick Poston, right? So I have so much on Kevin Sullivan, he has no idea, right? So we go to the gym every day, and Mosca was in the territory, and Mark Loon was there too. So Kevin and Mark Loon were hanging themselves on the gravity thing, right? Yeah. So went on for a couple weeks. Kevin can be pretty rough on you, man. So and so can Lewin. So Mosca's watching us for a couple weeks, and he goes to Kevin, correct if I'm wrong, does that really work on your back? Angela's like 300 pounds, big
Sure.
player. And he goes, Kevin goes, yeah, it'll straighten you out. So they put the boots on Mosca, and they put him on the pole. They left him there for 12 hours.
Oh, my gosh.
Mosca almost died. Nobody gave a shit back then. So we get the TV the next day, and Mosca thinks he outsmarts Kevin, right? So Kevin's wrestling. Mosca goes in, grabs Kevin's pants, and cuts them off at the knee. So Kevin comes
Cut him
back
off at the knee?
Cut him off at the knee. Kevin comes back, puts his pants on. He goes, I don't think so, motherfucker. And so Mosca's in the next match. He had like 13 boots. These boots of Mosca were 13. Kevin poured a full lighter fluid.
Oh, my gosh.
And lit him on fire. So Kevin was long gone. Mosca was big. His fucking size 13 boots were on fire.
He set his stuff on fire?
Yeah, no, he did. Yeah, he did. He sure did. No problem. Don't mess with Shorty, man. Jeez. I picked up Shannon one time at the airport in Daytona. I don't remember how I got home. He did go. And Shorty got me a couple times too. Don't make it understand. We were in sushi, and Kevin had this beautiful place in Daytona.
Right.
We were at some sushi bar. I can't remember what wife I was. It was number 2, I think. And I was flipping the sushi, and Kevin was laughing like hell. He goes, "Yeah, this is cool as hell." I didn't even remember where I was the next day. Yeah, Kevin got me too a couple times. Not lying. We went down to stay with him in Key West, and he took me with a tarpon fishing.
Yeah.
I didn't know a tarpon was 8 feet long.
Right.
My son Reed, who's God knows how much he meant to me, but he loved Kevin too.
Sure.
He and Ben were like the same age, and went through so much. The Steiners taped up Ben and Reed at the shows and all that. It was a great time. So Kevin's got Reed snorkeling around the boat and all that, right? Me, I'm not comfortable going more than 5 feet from the boat. I want to be able to get back, right?
Yeah.
But Kevin's got Reed going way down, and Reed's going, yeah, that's cool as hell, Dad, do it. I said, no, I don't think so. Stay with Kevin, right? So then we come back, and we start pulling these damn tarpon. They're 8 feet long, right, Kevin?
Yeah.
And he had a beautiful place in Key Largo. I mean, it was phenomenal. But Kevin and I have shared so much. I mean, Shannon, Ben, Reed, Ashley, same identical age.
Oh, really? Okay.
How old's Shannon, Kevin?
She's 40.
She's what?
She's 40 now.
Oh, okay, that's at Megan's age. Okay.
Yeah,
How old's Ben?
Yeah. Ben is 35.
Okay, so I'm sorry,
David's age.
Looks like David and
Megan and David, same age. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But Kevin knew Reed real well. I mean,
Sure.
Yes, I did. We took him diving. And we had a great time,
I said that he loved Kevin, right? Dad, come in the water. I said, no, go with Kevin. He's fine.
Yeah.
No, but that's right. They're the same age as Ben and Shannon are David and Megan's age.
So, our good friend Dick Bourne is going to be coming to the house this weekend, and Kevin's going to come hang out with us a little bit.
God, good luck with that, Kevin.
So you're going to like this.
Get some dialysis before you go, okay?
He's going to need it when he goes home. But Dick, on the way down, is texting me. He's like, is Kevin okay to come to your house? I'm like, yeah.
Where do you see it?
He's
Conrad, Kevin, you're never going to believe from our travels over the years that there's a home like that in Huntsville, Alabama, right? It's bigger than Huntsville.
Oh, gosh.
It's on a cliff. It's 11,000 square feet, okay, right?
Wow.
Come on. Here's what I'm saying, though. He just said... That's Rick's cell phone.
Yeah, in
case you've been listening to all of these, this is our very first podcast where we may or may not have had a few drinks before.
No.
Is that fair?
I never drink before 12.
Oh, of course not.
Kevin knows that.
No, we realize that, but it's like 4 in the
Kevin and I had a
afternoon here.
rule. We'll start drinking at 5, and we'll race down the elevator to get by there.
So here's what I was getting to, Rick. You'll like this. Dick Bourne texts me and says, is it okay for Kevin to come to your house? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, I don't know if you've seen much of his stuff. And I'm like, Dick, he's not the shoot devil. This is the real devil. Like, the devil himself is not coming to my house.
He's not going to paint himself up and crucify you, right?
But in his head, he still buys into it. The devil himself is coming to Conrad's house.
No, well, he is the devil, man. He jumped up one time at the Marriott and scratched my eyes out. So tired of your shit, Rick, goddammit. He did. He did scratch my eyes out. He didn't punch me or nothing. He just scratched my eyes out.
So about 20 minutes ago, I mentioned, Kevin, Dusty Rhodes. Let's talk about Dusty Rhodes for a minute. He's still in our hearts and minds. Last night on the WWE special, they talked a lot about Dusty Rhodes. I felt like you should have been there. You were a big part of Florida Championship Wrestling.
Oh, huge.
Yeah, I was. That was, I was lucky to get to work with Dusty and Blackjack and Barry and everybody that came through, and get to watch Eddie and Mike. And, it was a great place and a great time. Rick will tell you every time he came in, Rick would be selling the joint out. But the unique thing about Dusty, and I want to see if Rick agrees with me, I wrestled him almost every night for 3 years in Florida.
Wow.
I never heard, and I wrestled him a couple of other years when I came back, and I wrestled him in Atlanta, but when I never heard anybody ever yell, Dusty, you're fat. Not one person. And that always amazed me, because even back then, me or Rick being a heel, Rick probably had more fans than I did, but I had maybe 8% fans, and those fans never yelled at it. You know what I'm saying? He was bigger than life. Him and Rick drew money up the ass. One of the greatest angles I ever came up with was the Midnight Rider against Ric Flair, where the Midnight Rider beat Flair in Miami, but he could, and Bob Geigel, who's then president of the NWA, said he doesn't have to take his mask off, but he got to show me who he is. And Dusty wouldn't do it, so the belt went back to Rick. So it put more heat on Rick. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
More heat on Rick, because Rick was saying it was Dusty all along. People knew it, but when the belt switched, they thought, well, Dusty will be the Midnight Rider, and it went back to him. I mean, Rick and Dusty, if you wanted to draw money, that's all you had to do is put those two guys together And it's true. And they work so well together. A lot of people, correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, a lot of people don't understand, especially the guys of today, and this is not knocking them, they would be shocked at how agile Dusty was for a big man. You know, he could move in the ring.
Yes, he could.
Don't you think, Rick?
Yes.
I mean,
first of all, people don't realize, as you know, Kevin, I wrestled Dusty like probably 200-hour Broadways over the years.
Oh, yeah, 60 minutes. I mean, and he would do agile stuff, Conrad.
Yeah.
And he was unbelievable. You know, he was bigger than life. When Rick was hot and he was hot about the same time in the mid-'70s, you know, they would go to Charlotte, they'd sell out. They'd go to St. Louis, they'd sell out. They'd go to Florida, they sell out. They'd go to Houston, and they would sell out. It was a match that was easily to draw money. You know what I mean? And I think, you know, one of the things about Dusty is like you, Rick. He was bigger than life. You know, you could have a love-hate relationship with Dusty your whole life. You know what I mean? But Dusty was one of those guys, like yourself, Rick, that can't be replaced. And, you know, it's again what I said. They can't figure out what to do. I mean, okay, like last year, I'll go put this in baseball. Last year, David Ortiz hit .688 in the World Series. It took the Cardinals to the sixth game to understand we better walk this motherfucker. You know what I mean? I'm not the greatest manager in the world, but if the guy's hitting .688, we better walk him. And it's like, Rick is Ric Flair. You can't figure out something to do with him? I mean, my God. I mean, there are some things that, you know, I
love you, Kevin.
Yeah, well, I just shake my head and
why
say...
don't you take all that money and buy WWE? I'll work for you.
Yeah. I never have worked for them. And that, you know, I mean, the thing is, a lot of people knock them and knock what they're doing. They have 3 hours on a Monday night, Ricky.
I know.
And you know how hard that is.
I know. Eric gave you that job. Are you kidding me?
That's an impossible job unless you...
I know.
You know, and then they got their network going. But if it was me, I would sit down and say, how are we going to jumpstart our network? And look around and say, oh, what can we do with this guy to get a huge rub off of him to whoever we want to give the mantle up to, whoever we want to give the blessing up to. And I always hear you talk about John Cena very well, Rick. I don't know John Cena, but I watch him, and as a fan, he's the kind of guy I want to have a beer with.
Yes,
you know
sir.
what I mean?
You know, and trust me, he'll drink one, but he's not allowed to anymore. John Cena's a great guy. I mean, Kevin, you would love John Cena. He's from your part of the world, man.
Yeah,
He's
I know.
Massachusetts. But Vince has got him on lockdown. It's terrible.
Well, but what I'm saying is I could see something there between the two of you, and if they can't see it, you know, I'm not going to give it away to them. But, Rick, they got to get that they got to get that network going, and it's a catch-22. Conrad, think about this. You're showing the best from the past.
Yep.
And you expecting these young guys to live up to that?
No, Kevin, that's a great point. Thank you so much. Kevin, this is why I've tried to tell Kevin, I've tried to tell Conrad, and I tell people all the time, in my opinion, I'm not just saying this because you're you on the phone, Kevin Sullivan's a genius.
No, I agree.
No, you have no idea. Kevin came up with shit that was way, way, way ahead of his time. he wasn't like a Dusty Rhodes creative. He was a reality creative. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
He wasn't doing Starrcades, Great American Bashes, but he knew how to place talent, but was given the job that no one could handle because the talent.
Storylines rather than events. Is that fair?
Storylines, but the problem was they gave Kevin this torch where the guys had creativity and wouldn't do what he wanted them to do. If Kevin Sullivan, if the guys would just have cooperated and gone, God, that's pretty cool.
So you're talking about WCW right now.
Everybody was on their own agenda. And
So Kevin, talk to us about WCW. I know there's a lot of famous stories about you and WCW.
So Kevin, I want you to know that I respect the genius, but you were handed something that nobody could possibly handle because everybody had their own agenda. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and we did very well. We beat Vince for a long time.
Yeah.
And, we were handed a deck of cards that eventually we couldn't win with. But it was a transformation in the wrestling business. And this is what I'm getting back about, Conrad, about Vince's program, okay? You're showing Flair in Steamboat matches. Now I'm going to tune in and watch some other match on a Monday night. It isn't fair to those guys.
I agree.
You know what I mean? It isn't fair because none of those guys, it's like when Rick was coming up, okay? He was Johnny Valentine's partner. Then he got to work with Wooooo. He got the rub from guys. He got the rub from Dusty when he came to Florida, or when they would go to Charlotte. Then the Horsemen came, and then the Road Warriors came around. Well, they never gave the rub to anybody because, circumstances beyond their control. It was like nobody got to get a rub from these guys that had drawn money. I mean, Rick had wrestled Buddy Rogers, Nature Boy versus Nature Boy. That was a huge deal. I mean, Buddy was the man for years, and he gave Rick the mantle. That's what they need done there in some capacity, in my estimation, because if they're hanging their hopes on this network and doing all these pay-per-views now, is it 2 a month now, Rick?
1 a month.
1 a month?
Yeah.
Okay. They talked about going on 2. Okay, 1 a month, and you are showing these. You have a limited number of guys that are over in their company right now, and you're trying to get a network over, and you kind of re-showing the matches 30 times. You know what I mean?
That's the thing that we talk about all the time, is that they wrestled 10 times before the pay-per-view,
right?
Then they wrestled the day after,
right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not like there were some magical matches. It didn't matter. Like when I was doing it for WCW, all I had to do for a Clash of Champions was put Sting and Flair on top. It was going to draw. You know what I mean? That was a magical match. We did the deal with Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair and Chicago, and that was the thing where they went through and they voted, and Terry Funk voted actually for Rick. Then he threw it away, and he gave the vote to Steamboat, and then it looked like, okay, that was the angle, was going to be Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair, and we switched it right to Flair, and at the time, Rick was the hottest heel in the territory, but we switched him that night to the hottest babyface by getting power-driven by a madman, Terry Funk.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not thinking, to me, and I don't know anything about this. They're not.
No, Kevin, we were there last night.
Mr. Sullivan, were you booking back then? Back in 1999?
Yeah.
Yes,
That was my idea, my finish, and the whole thing with Rick. We sat down and we came up with it. But think about this: I have the hottest heel in the territory. He gets screwed by the hottest babyface. 5 minutes later, that heel is the hottest babyface in the territory. And he's got a different type match.
Kevin's the one that booked the I Quit match in Albany.
Kevin
booked all that shit.
They went from Rick Flair matches to Rick Flair Terry Funk matches, which were completely different.
Yeah.
It was like going to a different movie. You can't go see Iron Man 3 every time because it's not going to change. You know what I mean? Every fucking time you go in and watch Iron Man 3, the end of the movie is the same, guys. You know what I mean?
So Kevin, help me understand. That was in 1999. Who booked, I think I know the answer, but I just want you to talk about it. Who booked the Black Scorpion concept?
Ole Anderson.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't Kevin. That was Ole.
No, that was Ole.
Yeah.
He did the voice.
And I got no problem telling you, Ole is brain dead. Al, funny. Let me tell you something, Kevin. You'll love this. All these years, I saw Al Perez at Dusty's funeral.
Really?
And to this day, I go to him, you dumb ass.
Yep.
All you had to do was he wouldn't do the job for Sting. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So I sat in the ring for 5 hours, and Kevin put Barry and Arn out there against Legion of Doom, and against Simmons and Butch Reed, they stole the show.
Right.
It was great. Well, I stood underneath the ring like I'm going to fake anybody out. Me and Kevin went back to the bar. Here's the deal. It's a Marriott in the old days, right, Kevin?
Yeah.
And so I give this chick, I go, she was smoking hot. I go, look I want to show my boss that how hot you are. I'll give you $200 to show us your boobs, right?
You said the word boobs? Okay, thank you. Okay.
She goes, really? I said, yeah, here's $200, right? So Kevin and I are sitting there, right? It was at the old Marriott in Lambert Field. So she lifts up her shirt. She was smoking, right? Kevin was nice. Kevin wanted to kiss him, and that was going to cost him more. So the boss walked in and fired her on the spot. And she goes to me, are you going to take care of me? I said, it depends on what happens the rest of the night. I might put you on Social Security or welfare. Yeah, me and Kevin, we've seen it all, man. I was running around the hotel completely naked with my Black Scorpion outfit on. You remember, Kevin?
Yeah.
Oh, let me tell you, there's no mountain me and Kevin haven't climbed together, man. Oh, my God. Remember, what happened? We did this thing with me and Sting, right? And Bischoff didn't like it. And I went back home, right? I had eye surgery. And Kevin called me and said...
Wait. You had eye surgery?
Eye surgery. I had two lenses replaced, right? Because I was blind from suntan beds.
Okay.
And so I had it completely clear with Kevin, right? Kevin went home, right?
Right.
So Kevin called me and said, Bischoff wants you back tomorrow to redo this interview. Remember that, Kevin?
Yeah.
With Sting, right? And I go, Kevin, is it surgery? He goes, Rick, I'm in a bad place, you know. So I fly back down there. I'm not supposed to be in the air for like a week, right?
Fly from North Carolina to where?
Back to Atlanta. Go in there, right? And, oh, my God, I just had eye surgery. Redid the interview. Me and Kevin and Terry Taylor went back out to in Iron Hoover, right? Back to our old hangout at the Marriott, which was fun there. My eyes were as big as football. Right around Kevin. Remember that?
Right.
That dumbass Eric. I mean, he just thought he could, overrule everybody. I mean, and the worst thing he ever did was try to be smarter than Kevin. What he did, there's times, and I don't care whether Eric likes this comment or not, you can't be smarter than a guy that's smart.
Right.
You can try to be all day long.
But smart.
Whether it's business or life or whatever you're talking about, he couldn't make the thing work. The minute that Kevin got canned and everybody else started coming in, the place went to hell. Look at the history of it. When Kevin was running it, as much stress as it was, and as hard it was on Kevin, they were in there. The minute they tried to replace Kevin, bingo. You know?
Kevin, one of the things I talked about, or actually you talked about.
Kevin, I hope you take it as a compliment.
Oh, of course
I do, Rick.
No, but you have to because you had the job from hell. God.
I know. So what did you say, Conrad? I'm sorry.
One of the things, Kevin, that a lot of people talk about, or Mr. Sullivan rather, is
Kevin.
Hulk Hogan. Okay, Kevin. Talking about Hulk Hogan turning heel, and for whatever reason, he wasn't so sold on joining the NWO. And the night before, you had to kind of monitor him and make sure that
Monitor him. I had him tucked into the bed and tied down in my house. His agent, who didn't want me to do it, I had another bedroom. I wouldn't let the agent sleep in the bed. I made him sleep on the couch. I didn't go to the building until the main event was the semi-main event was on because I was 10 minutes from the building. Yeah, everybody said to him, you can't turn heel. Gene Oakland, as great a talker as he is, announcer, I remember distinctly. Hogan comes into Chicago, the whole building boos him out of the building, and Gene is so witty, he says, you can see the somber mood here tonight in Chicago. As he's talking, they're booing him. People are going up to him and saying, oh, it's just, they weren't booing you, Hulk. I said, what do you mean they're not booing him? I said, you have to turn heel. Oh, brother, I don't know if I can turn heel. Up until the last minute, the contingency plan was Sting, and I told them it wouldn't work. National Hall busted the territory open with everybody else. But if Hogan didn't turn heel, that would have meant a WCW guy would have gone into the NWO, not a New York guy. It wasn't going to be New York against Atlanta. Yeah. This was a Civil War replayed. This was, if they had a Sting from Atlanta with the NWO, it watered it down. Eric then watered it down to get a guy over. All he would give him is a T-shirt. It didn't matter if he could work or not at interviews. He thought the T-shirt was going to get him over. I said, good thing you're not passing out Mickey Mouse T-shirts, so we'd have to get a lot of cheese. I mean,
wow.
Yeah,
no, it's the truth.
It was.
I was there, Kevin. You know what I did? I kept him liquidated. I mean, not liquidated financially. I kept him in fluid. I kept his fluid kind of up. He go to me, Rick, this is bullshit, man. I'm tired of babysitting these guys, right? But the next day, I woke up, he had to do it again. He was making a lot of money, but man, it was nursing 5 camps. It was brutal. And I mean, one time we were in Toronto, Kevin just fell over. I go, I'll give you mouth to mouth to wake up from it now, please, will you? He was exhausted. It was everywhere we went, every night. And the guy, it's like, Kevin, here's the best of all time, as you know, right? 30,000 people. Oh, 32,000 in the Superdome. Not Superdome, the Georgia Dome, right?
I knew what you were going to say.
Brand new. It's Hall and Nash, right? And so Kevin's back there for hours, right? And then pretty soon they come out and they handed each other. Well, we went from 32,000 people to 15 to 10 to out of the building, right, Kevin?
Yeah.
I mean, it was because Kevin couldn't get him to have the match.
Elaborate on what you mean, Rick. I know many have talked about this off the air, but a lot of people listening don't understand when you say we went from 32 to 15. What happened from 32 to 15?
Well, I don't know because I wasn't part of the conversation. Kevin can tell you.
No, but come on.
They refused to have the match. I'm not sure whether it was who would win or who would lose.
This guy wouldn't lose to that guy, or they wouldn't come out to this song or that song?
No. It was
situation.
Why ask Kevin? Kevin was there back there walking around going, hyperventilating. I don't know. What was the deal, Kevin? I mean, but the problem was we had like we opened the dome, right? It wasn't Deion Sanders, man. It was us.
It was WCW.
Yeah, and the 32 or 35,000, whatever it was. And instead of having a match and a finish, whoever was the champion came out and just handed it to the other guy. No match.
Oh,
right?
you talking about Finger Poke of Doom?
Huh?
Finger Poke of Doom. You're talking about Hogan and Nash.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what he's talking about.
Kevin, you were the booker then, right?
Yeah, that was you're absolutely right, Conrad. That was the finger poke. Nash could do nothing about it, and he was smart enough, Rick, to understand he couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Because he always wanted to work with Hogan, because he was a Hogan fan.
Yeah.
But Hogan didn't really want to work with Kevin because Kevin was so much bigger than Hulk at the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Anytime there was, they fired Dave Sullivan because somebody told Jimmy Hart, he looks like Hulk Hogan. So Jimmy went to Eric and they fired the poor guy.
Who was that? Who was that?
Dave Sullivan. Remember the guy who was supposed to be my brother?
Of course I do. Yeah, got it.
Yeah, he became the Hulkamaniac, and they fired him because somebody said something to Jimmy, and Jimmy was protecting Hulk.
Yeah,
the other one was years before that. Dan Spivey was fired because he looked like Hulk.
Yeah.
So and Hogan said, this will be the way to get it over. We wouldn't be fighting one another. And I said to him, well, if this was the World Heavyweight Championship was legit, you guys would fight for it and then shake hands afterwards. Oh, no, that was just going to weaken us. That was the most bullshit thing in the world. And I got to stand up for Nash on this one. He didn't want to do it, but it was Hogan's deal.
Yeah, no. First of all, we don't have a side on this.
No. I'm saying I didn't have a side on it either.
No, Kevin. What I'm saying is this is something that I wasn't privileged to know because, I tried to leave you alone. I got my hands on you at 11 o'clock at night. That's when we had fun because I knew what your day was like. But you know what's funny is going back to that. The worst thing, Kevin. And Kevin and I used to drink on a line. Who was the kid that Hulk brought in to be the warrior?
The Renegade.
The Renegade.
Yeah, but what was his name? I mean,
I can't even remember.
He committed suicide. Oh my God. So, I'm not blaming anybody for that, but I mean, they insisted to Kevin, God, this guy is going to be the warrior, right? And this kid he was a dick dancer, right?
Oh, wow.
Like Bagwell.
Oh, wow.
He was a strip guy, right?
Okay.
With no wrestling experience, but he had a good body on him, all that, and they were going to make this guy the Ultimate Warrior. Am I right, Kevin, or not?
Yeah.
And, God, I mean, they gave this guy this huge push. It failed miserably, and what's sad what happened, but I mean, the guy looked like in his mind he was going to be the deal.
Kevin, let's switch gears. Let's talk about 2 weeks before that Finger Poke of Doom. Goldberg lost the world title. Goldberg had this huge undefeated streak. He came out of nowhere in September of 97 and started his undefeated streak against Hugh Morris. And then ultimately, he lost the title to Kevin Nash at Starrcade in 1998. Talk to us a little bit about that. Bobby Heenan has said at the time he thought that was the end of WCW. A lot of other guys didn't believe that was the case. Talk to us about the rise of Goldberg, maybe who put him into that position, the streak, who thought of that, and then ultimately the title loss. But if you go back and you look at the tape, hindsight being what it is, a lot of people were cheering Kevin Nash when he won that title at the MCI Center in D.C. against Goldberg.
Okay. What everybody forgets, the first time they ever saw Goldberg on TV, he still had a little hair cropped, you know what I mean? He was like, he was bald, but it was still some hair, you know what I'm saying? Like a really, and he was wearing a Atlanta Falcon tights and a Atlanta Falcon jacket, and he worked an angle the first night where he stole Mongo McMichael's 1986 Super Bowl ring and got beat on TV on Nitro. I saw what I had in him. I pulled him off of TV. At the time, Tyson was hot, and the people were paying to see. They were pissed off if Tyson won 3 rounds. So I said, well, I'll give Goldberg the short boots, the black tights, and he's not going to talk because his talking was not the strong point. Now, you're right. Kevin was not just a heel. He was a baby face. They drew 43,000 people. I was still booking then, and I said, Eric said, we're going to beat him. I said, come here, let's go outside. I said, there's 43,000 people here. He said, yeah, but they're tired of seeing him winning. I said, really? Well, why are they here? They're here to see him lose? So I was against him losing. But I said, if you're going to lose, here's the finish. You and Kevin have a hell of a match. You set Kevin up for your spear. You go for your spear. Kevin's in the corner, moves the other way. You hit the post. You come back out. Kevin gives you a big boot, grabs you, and just pulls you real quick. 1, 2, 3, and you've lost on a legitimate way. Well, if you didn't move the post, blah, blah, blah. They had taser guns. They had the Atlanta Falcons running down. They had everybody but King Tut involved in the finish. You know, handcuffs, all that shit.
Yeah.
While we built him as legitimate. That did hurt him. But what hurt him more was when Russo came in, and then 6 weeks later, Goldberg was running from Booker T.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, I mean, you know, it's like I said about Rick. You know, Herb wanted to change his number, and I said to her the exact statement, Rick, was, I said, well, we're doing this. Why don't we go to Yankee Stadium and change Root's number from 3 to 13, okay?
With Mickey Mantle, actually. I was there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, whatever. But how could you take Goldberg and beat him that way when people thought he was legit?
But Kevin, the question I'm asking you is who you gave them the finish, which was phenomenal. Who overruled that?
Eric.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So I know, you know, it's funny because, you know, the whole thing goes on and on. But I mean, you have to admit that, you know, for all the fun we had, and Kevin and I had fun. I mean,
of course.
But it was an exhausting job. And you know, I'll tell you, Kevin won't remember this. The way Kevin, I was like the head of the booking committee, right? So we're in Dayton, Ohio, and it's me and Randy Savage. It's Father's Day, and me and Kevin are at the pool the next day, at the day before at the Marriott, drinking, having a hell of a time as we usually do, right? And he goes, "Hey, Rick, they want Savage to beat you." I said, "Kevin, I've done 10 jobs for Savage. Tomorrow I'm winning. I don't give a shit, right?" Nick Bockwinkel was the commissioner and all that, right? Vader walked out. I mean, it was a bunch of shit. So I just said, I'm beating Savage. And I said to him, you know, I can beat him if I have to.
Sure.
You know, but his dad was in the corner. So I walked out of the ring and they said, "You're fired." And Kevin became the boss, which I didn't give a shit, really. It was too much, right, Kevin?
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember that, Kevin, though?
Yeah.
I said, I got to catch one on him. I can't do 10 in a row for Hulk and him, or 5, whatever it was, right? Like Kevin goes to me, we're in Des Moines, Iowa, he goes, and Arn came up with the Tanya Harding thing, and we walked down to the ring, and we still couldn't beat Hulk. I mean, but I don't blame that. I'm not mad at anybody, but that's what we dealt with. And if you had any creativity, I mean, like Kevin was like a genius, but they handcuffed him. Once they realized how smart Kevin was, they handcuffed him.
You know, I want to ask something, Kevin, and I appreciate your candor today. And if you want to cut me off, we can edit this out. James is here, and we may or may not have been drinking before today, but we want to talk about, you know, there was once upon a time where Chris Benoit was a 4 horseman, and he was a big deal in the 4 horsemen. And, of course, he's no longer with us now. But once upon a time, he won the title at a pay-per-view. I guess it was sold out in like 2000. Right. And then he decided that he and a few others wanted to jump to the WWF. And if you don't want to talk about that, we can clip all
of this. I'll gladly talk about it.
I just want to ask you, and with in fairness, I want to say we can clip all of this if you're not comfortable talking about it.
Go ahead.
But I just wanted to ask, at the time, it seemed like Perry Saturn, Dean Malenko, a few other guys, Shane Douglas or whoever it was,
Douglas. Is he a wrestler?
Decided they wanted to instead, you know, play their hand for Vince McMahon and the WWF. And that was at a time when a lot of unrest was happening in WCW. What did that look like for you? In my head as a fan...
No, it's not out to answer the question, but he'll give you a more elaborate discussion. It gave him more problems. We had 47 Spanish people work for the company. You know what Arn used to say? They're here to guard the NWO.
Well, but in fairness, it seemed like a lot of fans, and maybe those guys included, thought, well, now that Kevin was in power, maybe Chris Benoit and those guys weren't going to be looked unfavorably. So it seemed like to us watching at home, who maybe thought that, Sid lost to Chris Benoit, and Chris Benoit won the world title the first night Kevin Sullivan was in power, and then 2 days later, he's in WWE. So what happened with that from your perspective, Kevin?
Okay, do you know how hard it was to ask Sid Vicious, who's 6'6", 350 pounds, 330 pounds, to do a job to a guy that was 5'7"?
No, sir, I can't imagine that.
Do you know when I gave them the finish, Sid looked at me and said, "I'd never do this, no disrespect to you, Chris. I'd never do this for anybody, but I'll do it for you, Kevin." And I smelt a rat that night. And that's when the finish, I told Sid, stick your foot out under the rope in case I need to pull this out. They just didn't want me there. They wanted to run their whole show. And they, at the time, Bill Bush and Gary Jusso were running the company. They thought that doing this, that they definitely had it on their side, that, Bush had to go with them. The thing was, Bush went with me. I had put the U.S. title on Eddie. I was getting ready to put the tag team titles on Perry Saturn and Dean. If I was holding them back in any way, it was a strange way to think I was holding them back. I put Chris and Dean with the 4 horsemen. I mean, that was a tremendous rub for those 2 guys. Same time I made Eddie U.S. champion and cruiserweight champion. So it was must have been a personal thing against me or with me, or maybe I didn't handle something
Kevin, you were dealt that card, and here's the problem again, and I'm going to go back to it. So I'll give you an example. This was the funniest, and Kevin remembers this. We're in Alexandria, Louisiana.
Right.
Sold out. And Kevin books me with Eddie Guerrero, right? And so he goes, go out there, and I beat Eddie, right? But he goes, go out there and tear it down, right? So I'm wrestling Hogan that Sunday in one of the pay-per-views, right? So, Eddie Guerrero and me.
He can work, man.
We tore the joint down, man. Unbelievable, right? And because Eddie, that's back when I could still do my stuff, right? And we walked back there, and I'm stacked, and Kevin goes, God, that was great. And Beefcake, of all people, walks up to me and goes, what are you doing? I said, what'd you just say to me? He said, what are you doing? He said, you're working with Hulk on Sunday, and you gave him too much. I look at Beefcake, I said, you stupid son of a bitch. Who do you think you're talking to?
Right.
No, you remember that, Kevin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Beefcake actually, who's long gone now again, thank God. Hulk can't give the guy $8 million and have him steal his jewelry and everything and still support him.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, I'll say it out loud.
You're just spilling the beans today,
He stole
brother.
Hogan's jewelry out of his house, I got nothing to say. Beefcake, what's the Beefcake going to say to me? He's one of the few guys that can't beat me. Even today. But Kevin knows that. He walked up to me in front of Kevin and goes, what are you doing? I said, I don't know. I'm having a match for the show and trying to get a rating, right? So
it was a good match, I'm sure.
It was great.
Yeah.
I would tell you if it was good or bad, Hey, kid, we love you. We're going home.
Okay.
I'm taking Conrad to the bar right now, and
Again?
I got $100. Says Conrad does not make it to Huntsville tonight. He's going to Hartford, Connecticut with me, and he'll see you Friday.
Okay.
Is Kevin Friday or Saturday?
Kevin is going to be there on Saturday, and we're looking forward to hosting him at the Conradison.
Oh, God, what do you see his face?
Okay.
Kevin, I have your number now. Text me. What do you think?
Okay. Text me, Rick.
Hey, the guy is a mark that makes $1 million a month. It's too much. and respects our business. And he's just 35 years old.
Rick.
34.
And he gets laid all the time.
Come on.
He's got a girlfriend part-time, who knows?
Oh, gosh.
Rick, listen to this. If they want to get the network going, I got the key for them, okay?
Well, you know what? I'm going to text Vince right now. And by the way, don't give it to Conrad because I want to be the claim to fame.
Whoa. I need to get a royalty on this.
No.
Yeah.
I can get to Vince. You can't yet.
But I can text you and you can text me.
No, but I can get to Vince and hey, Kevin, we will have a secret meeting.
Okay.
And you and I will approach Vince together, okay?
Thank you so
Don't
much.
give it to Conrad. Charge him double for the appearance.
Thanks, Conrad.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sullivan.
Ricky.
Thank you for showing up today. We appreciate
Love
it.
you,
Sorry
Kevin.
we're late.
Hey, Kevin,
Yes.
keep that yard of foreskin reeled in, brother, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, buddy.
Later.
See you soon.
How does your wife put up with that?
Yeah. I don't know.
Carefully.
Yeah.
Bow wow, man.
Bye-bye, Rick.
Woo!
Bye-bye, Conrad.
This is the
See you
Nation
soon.
of Ric Flair, my co-host, Conrad Thompson saying, thank you for joining us on by far the wildest Woo Nation podcast.
I can't imagine it being wilder than today, right?
Well, when you got a guy like Kevin Sullivan there, man, we learned more about the wrestling business than I know.
And we met a
And
few
you're
guys.
Dave Meltzer Jr., and you didn't know all this stuff.
And we met a guy named Johnny Walker downstairs, a guy
Yeah.
named Jim Beam downstairs.
Thank you so
a guy
much,
named
Kevin
Jack
Sullivan. We
Daniels
love you, man.
downstairs.
God bless you. Woo! And I will be calling Vince McMahon tomorrow to help him understand how to make the network go. Not through you, Conrad, because Kevin's talking to me directly. I don't care what you pay him.
I'm good with it.
I don't care if you make him $1 tomorrow. Woo!